Well, we have got three great guests here today for our Sheriff Sit Down, brought to you by our Community Credit Union. We have in studio Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
We have a couple great guests that you have brought along with us here today. Tell us who's on the air, and then we'll talk about Charlie's vision.
Well, this is to my far right, or your left, Charles Rhodes and his wife, Julie Rhodes.
Nice to meet you both.
Thanks for
coming in.
us.
Tell us a little bit about Charlie's vision, and what you're going to be doing for the law enforcement around the community.
Okay. Well, a couple months ago, we started a nonprofit organization. We filed and organized it, and for the benefit of Washington State law enforcement agencies to help fund unfunded needs.
Okay.
In the departments. And the reason we formed this is because our son Charlie had a huge heart for law enforcement. He had Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and his entire life he loved law enforcement, developed a big heart for it. And though he couldn't be out in the community a lot, this was something that was very near and dear to our heart. He was a very intelligent man. He was a computer whiz. He acted as our computer technologist, and he was a graphic artist. But law enforcement, it was something he just really had a huge heart for, and it frustrated him in the last few years that he was with us, that oftentimes due to budgetary constraints that law enforcement agencies and officers don't always have the equipment,
Sure.
training, and things that they needed. So Charlie passed away on December 23rd, 2017. And at that point, we knew we wanted to do something that would honor his memory as well as benefit the community.
Charles, can you think of a flashpoint that would have keyed Charlie into law enforcement, where his love may have come from?
Probably watching America's Most Wanted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cops,
Yeah.
as well as Life PD.
Uh-huh.
I believe that if Charlie was not in a wheelchair, he would have been a police officer.
Wow.
That's what we believe. He just had a love for our community, and as well as within the law enforcement group, if you will. He used to listen to my scanner and listen to he had a big heart for the law enforcement community to be in a position of being safe.
Sure. Sheriff, let's talk about some of these unfunded items over the years that you guys find yourself without that will be a big benefit from Charlie's vision.
I'm going to back up a tiny bit, Jeff, to something I think is really important. That I've always told my kids, you never know in your life who you're talking to.
Sure.
And when that's going to come full circle. A number of years ago, I met Charlie, and I think we were at some kind of a function, dinner function or somewhere, and I didn't know Charlie and had a chance to talk to him there. And then along the way, I'd run into Charlie some other places where they were at, and Charlie had spoke about his interest in law enforcement. Of course, we're talking about that. So during that time, Sergeant Trevor Severance came to me and said, listen, we have had to, he didn't come to me with this part, we have had to turn down a fair amount of money in the past because people were willing to donate, but they weren't willing for it to go into the general fund and have the commission have control of it. Sure. That it would get cut out of the budget later. And so much of that went to other organizations and other places because they wouldn't donate. So Sergeant Severance came to me with the idea of a 501c3 fund that some other agencies had started to set up. We didn't have anybody to do that. You needed somebody with technical skills and accounting skills and legal skills and all these other things to put that together. And that sat on my desk for almost 5 years.
Wow.
I kept it there. And every time something would come up, I tried to generate something to have something to do with moving forward with that. The time that Charlie passed away, Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes came to us and said we want to do something in the law enforcement community. they made the mistake of mentioning it. They were both accountants, and I had this, and so I asked them if that would be something that they would be interested in looking at to move forward with, because I needed somebody with an accounting background
Sure.
To start putting this together, because it couldn't be within the office. And Charles came down to the office. He was probably 25 minutes. He was down at the office, came home, went home and called and said, "We've got this, we're doing this." And they, with some other citizens in the community, formed a board of directors and began working on this project. 5 years we waited for this to happen, or a little over 5 years. And it was something that I wanted to do 12 years ago. And we have waited and waited and waited. And Charles and Julie stepped forward to get the ball rolling. And now we're complete and the foundation is there. And we've had numerous people already make donations. And now up to flashing forward to where you're at, there are certain things that we like to do as a law enforcement agency in the community that we can't use county funds for. And once we put stuff into the county banks, that's where it goes. Things that are huge for us are like Special Olympics. So we might be able to go to a vision for Charles's vision, and ask for some seed money to buy, something at the end of the race,
Sure.
hot dogs or awards or something,
sure.
To have a little t-shirts or something to get us started for seed money. And this would allow us to go before the board and say, this is what we would use the money for, as to help our Special Olympics athletes, because before we didn't have that. And those are the kind of things that we would look forward to that. The nice part about this is the board makes that decision, so you just can't go in there and take money out. Even the agencies, or our agency that comes in and asks for that, where the contribution comes in, we come in and this is our idea and what we'd like to use that money for. And so we have a board on there, we have an attorney on there, and some other people from the community that have made this possible. So something for years that we wanted, and it's just such a great joy to have something like this. And it was really something I wanted to get done over the years. And I'm so thrilled, because it's going to benefit. The benefit in this isn't just for right now.
Yeah.
This is the benefit for a long time into the future, when people decide when they want to leave money for law enforcement purposes. It has a place to go in our community now where it can't be taken by somebody else.
Julie,
That's so good.
Charles, how does that make you feel when you hear sentiments by the sheriff like that about how he was looking for a great person to kind of help lead this charge in Charlie's vision, now looking down and making sure this is going forward?
Go ahead.
It warms our heart. And I'll tell you, yesterday was would have been my son's 38th birthday.
Wow.
And of course, I have to make calls and tell everybody about how Charlie felt, and his love. Not only for we've lived here 13 years, and Charlie from day one just has accepted Mason County as his community, and doing what he could do to which, although limited because of his challenges in a wheelchair, fundraising and gathering funds to assist something that he loved is, as a parent, it is something that is, you can't really express the gratitude you have with your officers.
Sure.
And I'm talking from the sheriff all the way down to the patrol officer.
Yeah.
They're fantastic here, and my son knew that.
And one thing about Charlie is that he was a person who always refused to be defined by his physical limitations. He believed that there was no problem that was insurmountable, and when he would find ways to innovate and figure out what he needed to do. He worked for his dad and I for 20 years, and as part of our company, always looking for ways that if there was a stopping point, well, what else can we do? And it said in that thought, as the sheriff mentioned, they've been trying for so long to get this done, and it wasn't like we don't feel like we were great people. It came out, but we had great inspiration from our son Charlie.
Yeah.
And that's what it did.
Another piece with that I thought was wonderful was we brought this forward to Charles and Julie. there's certain ways you have to name things and do things for
Sure.
titles if things mean something in
Yeah.
the legal world. And we were looking for a very far-reaching, but yet inclusive way to bring this into Mason County. And I believe it was, wasn't there the night that it was selected, but one of our board members, as we talked about, Charlie, had come up with this theme or title. And it was just so fitting. I mean, everybody was on the board with that's it.
Yeah.
It was so fitting for the contributions that Charlie was interested in making towards law enforcement emergency services. And so hence the name, Charles's Vision. And what a great way to make a donation to something.
Mm-hmm.
The piece behind it is it's so great is that why it formed from someone in the community and as to how it came together and how it commemorates that person.
How or where can people make donations if they want to also help with Charlie's Vision?
Well, right now we're in the process of putting together a web presence. We are very newly formed, and so for now we are soliciting to people who know us in the community. We're going to be putting together, like I said, this web presence. We are already have received donations just by word of mouth and meeting with people and talking with people, but this is something that we're working on. It's going to be launching very soon. We've also pretty excited about our kickoff fundraiser, which is coming up, and Charles has been working with one of the board members. Maybe he can tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
We're in the process of getting it together.
Yeah.
But retired Chief Dean Byrd has come up with an idea that we think is phenomenal, and the name of it's Guns and Hoses. We want to create a flag football game to raise money for our sheriff. We're going to launch that November 3rd. Gate will open. It'll be at Shelton High School. Gate will open at 6. The game will start at 7. Now, everybody who is eager to play does not know that yet, so we do need to say that at this point.
So this is what, cops and firefighters?
We're hoping.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it'll
this
be
idea.
fantastic.
Oh, that would be.
Another thing. That's one of the events. Also, my son was a graphic artist. We're looking at. We have some other artists that are looking to take his works and put them on canvas and sell them to the public or for a donation so that we can add to our fund.
Very cool.
Very neat.
So
Very
that
neat.
is something that we're real excited about, and we came up while we were visiting him at his resting place yesterday. And Julie and I came up with that. It'd be really neat to ask for donations because we think we do very well. They're beautiful works, and those are the things that we're working on right now.
Very nice.
As
Very
far as making donations, they could make donations, directly to us. They can make to individual board members if they chose to.
Okay.
I would give the address if they want to send funds. I would be willing to accept.
We can post that
We have
too
some envelopes
on
and
the
things.
yeah.
And we have
Sheriff's
envelopes
office.
with us.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Very nice. Well, we can leave some here at the studio too.
Yeah,
Well,
we're all set up to take credit cards and things. However, it serves people best.
Very nice.
website coming soon, and November 3rd for a great first fundraiser. We'll be having more details about that when it comes closer. Well, a very great conversation here today. Again, I want to thank Charles and Julie, as well as Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury
Thank you.
coming on.